I'm Alex Cardenas, and for the Herzberg's two-factor theory, there are workplace motivators that are hygiene factors, so that can reduce job dissatisfaction. So to reduce the dissatisfaction, companies can offer competitive pay and fair benefits and pay. They can provide safe and comfortable working conditions for the employees that are working there. They can implement job security, so they can assure that the job is safe and they will have a job if they need a leave of absence, or if something happens to go wrong, the employees won't be afraid of making any mistakes. The employers can have clear communication, and they can assure that all of the employees are aware of the company policies, of the ethics, of the standards that are set within the company, and to keep them with the competitors, to keep them on the same level playing field, or to bring them above the competitors. They can also have supportive relationships within or not within, but between managers and coworkers. So they can offer respectful supervision. They can have managers that won't be considered helicopter managers or micromanagers, and they can train their employees so that the managers aren't constantly needed. Also, if they happen to make a mistake, they feel comfortable enough to ask questions or to admit that they made a mistake, to have accountability. And then the managers can pull them aside and let them know what they could be doing better, or how they can improve on the work that they've been doing. A way to increase job satisfaction, which are motivators, so they can have incentives or programs, so they can do recognition or rewards for the achievements or for a job well done. So at my job, we get little thank you notes that are written. I know someone else who works retail, and he gets little like high five cards, which are like $5 or $10 gift cards to the business, or just a Visa gift card. It's to show appreciation for the job that is done and meeting the standards, meeting the standards that are set within the company and what the managers have set for the employees. They can also offer opportunities for professional growth. They can provide opportunities for career growth within the company. They can set challenging work assignments, but still allow employees to get the job done and not make it difficult to a point where the employees will constantly need the manager's help or assistance, and they won't feel the need that they will constantly need to ask questions. So it will set the precedent that the employees are capable of completing the challenge or completing the work assignment. And it also motivates the employees because they feel that they are appreciated and they have set an image of themselves that they can get the job done no matter the challenge or no matter the task. Number 2, comparing motivation theories. So, McLeland's acquired needs theory focuses on the needs achievement, affiliation, and power. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, they have 5 levels, so physiological, safety, social, esteem, and self-actualization. And then the ERG theory, So that is into 3 categories of existence, relatedness, and growth. So the most useful would most likely be McLeland's theory, because it ties the motivation to the personal experiences and the cultural backgrounds of employees, and it allows employees to take what they have learned from their environment, so like nature versus nurture, so they can take what they've learned in the past or how they grew up, and they can apply it to the job, so it can increase their work ethic, it can make them more motivated, because they feel like they have already learned the basics, and they feel comfortable gaining more experience and more knowledge on what they can learn within the job, and how managers can continue to train them or continue to give them opportunities so that they can continue to grow. That would increase motivation. So the only downside of McLeland's theory, it varies from each person. So I can apply myself differently than somebody else just based on how we grew up and based on what we have learned culturally and where we, like what environment we grew up in. So we need to understand workplace application and how people decide to show their work ethic and how they decide to apply themselves within the workplace. I find myself very big on work ethic, I guess you could say. I try to apply myself 110% no matter the job, no matter the task, and no matter what is asked of me. I've been promoted at both of the jobs that I've worked at in my life, and I want to say it's because of my background, because of how I grew up. Both of my parents have become heads of their departments. So my mom is head of security, and my dad is the head of the college program, the EMT program at Palm Beach State. So I've grown up with the idea that you need to apply yourself no matter the challenge, no matter how you're feeling, and you need to you need to set a line of personal and professional, and you can't cross the line. So when you go home, you don't bring any of your professional business home, and when you go to work, you don't bring any of your home business in. And that's a way to set yourself up for success in the workplace, because you're not focusing on what's going on at home while you're at work, and you're able to fully apply yourself and apply all of your characteristics, whether they're positive or they're areas of improvement, and you can set an image or have managers have a certain perspective of how you work and how you apply yourself. I would say that all of my bosses have seen that I like to apply myself and I like to work 110% times harder, I guess you could say. And I like to make sure that the job that I'm asked of, or the job that I'm asked to complete or do, is always done with maximum effort on my part. And I'm very proud to say that I've learned that from my environment. A lot of other people my age can't really say the same. So I'm very appreciative of the background that I come from. And I think future workplaces will also be appreciative of that. Yeah, so for that one, You just need to understand where people come from and understand their characteristics and how they choose to apply themselves. For number 3, the auto dealership sales. When employees meet their goals every week, in the short run, it shows that sales are good, that employees know how to apply themselves and they know how to reach their goals. But in the long run, it can also show that employees aren't setting high goals for themselves. They're under-challenging themselves and they're not reaching their full potential within the company. There's little incentive for growth. So when employees continuously have these same goals and they meet them every week, they don't have the motivation to increase their workload or to increase potential growth opportunities within the company. They don't have continuous improvement, so it's pretty much just a straight line instead of an increasing line or an upward facing line within the company. So it can show that the employees, they just don't feel motivated, and they know that if they set their goals low enough, they can automatically reach them no matter the week, no matter the day, no matter how they're feeling. And the managers won't be too upset about it because they can say, well, they're reaching the goals, so there's no problem. But in the long run, they can actually lose employees that way because they don't feel appreciated and they know that they can do the bare minimum and nothing can happen. But they also realize that if they set a goal that is higher than the previous, then they can potentially not reach that goal or not tap into their full potential for that goal. And managers can see that as a problem, and it can cause conflicts because managers can walk over and say, hey, you've been reaching this goal every week. What happened? Or why aren't you reaching it now? And they can just kind of lose that motivation or lose that incentive to want to increase their goal or to want to increase the workload and make themselves feel more motivated or more proud of themselves. So it can, I'm just reiterating, the employees can actually lose their drive to continue to sell cars. They can see employees or they can see customers and say, I'm going to sell this many cars and that's it. Or I'll sell this many parts and that's it, because I know that my manager will be fine as long as I'm reaching the goal that I set for myself. Even though I feel like I can do better, I'm not going to try. So there would be no improvement in the sales, there would be no improvement in customer satisfaction because the employees have kept it at a steady pace instead of a gradual increase of a pace. There also wouldn't be any organizational growth or company growth because all the numbers would be the same every week. And that can look bad for future investors or future customers because they'll look at the statistics and say, well, they're not really selling any cars, they're not selling any parts, so I'm just going to go somewhere else. Or investors will say they're not making a lot, so it could potentially cause problems and investors won't be paid back in time, and it can cause more debt for the company overall. So for that one, managers have to be on top of them, making sure that they are setting goals that are attainable but are reaching potential within the employee, and it can in time show how ambitious and how driven the employees are and how motivated they can be. Lastly, number 4, the procedural and distributive justice. The distributive justice is the fairness of outcomes, so like promotions or internal opportunities for growth. And the procedural justice is the fairness of the process to make the distributive justice decisions. So the perception of the fairness can matter more within like employee groups rather than like the actual policies, so managers can communicate about how the decisions are made and why certain employees are being chosen. If I were working at my job and my store manager made a decision that I didn't understand, it would seem unfair because then I wouldn't have an opportunity to showcase myself and my work and my drive. And it can cause conflict between like other employees and me and the managers above me, because I will go around saying that it's unfair and I don't understand the process and I don't understand how this decision was made. And then it'll also feel like I don't have a say in the decision that was being made. So for that, they can give employees the opportunity to voice their opinion and feel like they're part of the decision-making process. And then, just like the first prompt, rewards, promotions, and even discipline on the work that's not being done. Employees need a set standard. So if a standard doesn't get met, they need to explain the reason to the managers, and everybody needs to understand why these standards are set, why they're so important, and how they can improve on meeting them in the future. Also, unbiased treatment is essential in any company, because then employees won't feel that a decision is unfair or that there's any favoritism when there's a promotion or when there's a raise or when there's discipline going around. It'll reduce the amount of gossip also, because if employees fully understand why decisions are being made and what the policies are, then they'll understand why managers will do certain things, or why certain decisions will be made. So everybody will feel like they're part of the process, and nobody can say that it was unfair treatment or there was favoritism, because it will increase the equality within the company and the equity. So everybody has fair treatment, everybody gets treated the same, and everybody has access to the same resources. So for that, yeah, that's how they could reduce the inaccurate perceptions, just by providing clear explanations based on certain decisions that were made, that are being made, certain decisions that are in the works, and it gives employees the opportunity to feel like they have a say, to feel like they're appreciated, and to feel like they have a voice in the company, whether it's a big one or a small one. They'll feel like their opinion matters, and they'll feel like the work that they do is even more appreciated. And yeah, that is my discussion. Have a nice night. Thank you.